Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and all you lovely people out there. Whether you're listening from the wasteland or from the best little town at the bottom of the deep blue sea, this is Fallout Rapture. And with the announcement of a new Resident Evil remake, this time being the game that shows us just how insane an evil the Umbrella Corporation can truly be, Code Veronica, I thought I'd do a little series on the updated looks that each character will be getting as they come out, just briefly rambling about what I like and dislike about the new designs, and overall if I think the new costume works with the character in the story or doesn't miss something crucial. That being said, let's begin with the main protagonist of our story, Claire Redfield.
Don't move. Claire Redfield.
First off, I can see why Capcom went with the color scheme that they did for the outfit, using blacks, browns, and muted reds for the overall outfit, while having Claire's eyes add that pop of lighter blue coloring. It adds a nice bit of contrast while keeping the core color palette that we've seen across most of Claire's appearances, including her outfit in the original Code Veronica, intact, while remixing it in a new way. Along with this, the more subdued coloring in the outfit not only fits with the era we're in, but also helps reflect Claire's character. Era-wise, the outfit's colors fall in line with the fashion movement of minimalism that saw its origins in the 1990s, during which subdued coloring came into favor over the brighter colors of previous eras. As for reflecting Claire's character, it could be said that the muted/subdued colors represent the change in Claire from 2 to Veronica, going from a simple college student who only had to worry about passing her exams and whose brighter coloring in 2 could represent a more unburdened, if not innocent nature, to a 19-year-old woman looking for her brother and face off against an international corporation, with her now being burdened by the looming threat of Umbrella and the trauma of Raccoon City, causing her brighter colors to dim. Although I could both be reading into and giving far too much credit here. Moving on from the colors though, let's talk more about the outfit in general. First off, the two holsters mean we're probably seeing the return of dual-wielding guns in Veronica, like in the original. I gotta admit, I kinda like the fact that the two belts have two different designs, possibly because Umbrella uses two different manufacturers or two separate models for the right-handed and left-handed belts they give out to the guards on the island. As a side note, I'm curious if Capcom's gonna make it so it has to be a fixed set of guns, or if the player can dual wield two completely separate handguns in-game. Another thing I instantly noticed and really like about this outfit is that it doesn't feel modern and lacks that impersonalized stiffness of a pre-planned or a brand new outfit. There's this feeling of wear and tear with this outfit, such as the black of the jeans and the crop top having this faded look to them, especially around points of wear like the knees on the pants or the scratches in the leather you can see on Claire's jacket. It makes this whole outfit feel like something that wasn't freshly picked off the rack, unlike some of the previous outfits in the remakes. Along with this, things like the leather boots and the straight-legged jeans Claire has on are actually some of the key pieces of the minimalism look, which helps keep this outfit in the era it's supposed to be in and not feel like some clothes from 2020 trying to pose as 1990, with the overall effect making this outfit feel more realistic to the setting of 1998 and more personalized, as if it were something Claire pulled out of her own closet. Which is helped by the overall design theme with the aesthetic that I think most of us have come to associate with Claire Redfield over the years. The outfit also has a bit of a risque part to it, with this bit of exposed midriff that was also present in the original design, which to me feels like the right amount for and not out of character for Claire Redfield, who you have to remember up to 3 months ago was just a regular college student. This crop top, again, like the pants and the jacket, feels like something Claire actually owns. In this case, something she wore, she went out with friends or around the dorm room chilling, but didn't let the older brother/slash parent figure of Chris see. She's not bundled up to the point of sweating to death and being called an old lady by her peers, but also not exposing these huge swatches of skin to the point of ridiculousness and causing the outfit to not fit with who she is. Unlike, say, with the RE2 classic outfit, which to me didn't feel like something Claire would wear. That outfit feels like it was intentionally trying to expose as much skin as possible, but that's an issue for a different video. But for me, one of the biggest things I notice and really like about this outfit is how it works with the story of the game. One of the things you have to remember is, barring the holsters, this is most likely the outfit Claire was wearing when she was captured in Paris. So in that regard, the outfit has to make sense in a couple different ways. One, for what Claire was doing both prior to and at the beginning of the story. Two, fitting what we know about the character of Claire. 3. Working with what the devs want to convey about Claire and or the story. And 4. Serving as the starting point for how Claire's outfit will visually evolve, if it does, over the course of the story. And in regard to those points, I feel like this outfit really nails them. As I said before, the look and feel of this outfit is something I can see Claire wearing, and does make sense for her to be wearing at this time. At the start of the game, I doubt Claire was trying to attract attention to herself in Paris, so she wore an outfit that she thought was casual, something that she thought people would see and think, oh, it's just a regular college student. In fact, things like her jacket and the crop top help in this case because I imagine people would see her wearing it and be like, ah, another tourist who underestimated the weather. It also does its job well in conveying the idea that Claire wasn't going into this thinking she was going to fight, that this was supposed to be her hiding in plain sight while searching for Chris. Finally, the outfit also provides a perfect base for the visual progression of Claire throughout the story, going from a civilian look while searching for Chris to adding gear onto it once we hit Rockford Island. This is a contrast to some of the outfits from the previous remakes that I feel like didn't reflect or ignored key points in the story, like Jill's from the 3 remake that, to me, not only felt a bit too modern and personalized, but made Jill feel way too prepared early on for the situation that she was going to be facing in-game. Even though the story is that she was supposed to be caught off guard and thrown into the proverbial fire of the outbreak and the threat of Nemesis. Or Hunk and Two-Make being overburdened with gear despite the Nest recognition being more of a snatch and grab operation, and having 3 team members and another group in the sewers to provide cover and firepower, to name 2 examples. As a final side note in favor of the outfit before I move on to the next section, I'll also add that I like how they made the yellow wing symbol that was originally on the front of Claire's vest, which I didn't really like that much in the original design as I felt it stood out slash contrasted too much with the rest of the outfit, into a simple pin on her lapel in this. Now, despite my praising the outfit, I will admit there are parts to it that I can see people not liking and even I'm not fully on board with that I'll mention here real quick. First off, one part of the outfit that while I like the update to, I could see people thinking it's a bit of a downgrade and wouldn't fault them for it, is the new design of the Let Me Live image on the back of Claire's jacket. From what we see in the trailer, the design seems to have been simplified into a singular muted gold slash orange yellow color for both the words and the Valkyrie figure on the back, in contrast to the multiple colors of the original, and is now made out of what I believe is raised leather rather than a flat decal like the original. One of the things I like about the update to design is that it's now a full body of the Valkyrie who looks like she's actually taking flight, versus the more basic and stiff posture of the original that was only from the knees up. In contrast, however, there is just something eye-catchy about the original explosion of colors versus this singular color used for the redesign. And I would have loved to see the original decal, or at the very least, its color scheme fully made into an embroidered design slash patch on the back of this jacket, and wouldn't be surprised to find others wishing the same. However, I can see what Capcom was trying to do with the singular muted color, going back to the points I made about the pseudo coloring minimalism, trying to blend into Paris, and the dimming of Claire's colors following Raccoon City. I'll also say that no matter what, at least to me, this is still a major improvement over the pressed leather look of RE2's jacket, which I couldn't even see the design most of the time because it tended to blend into the back of the jacket, especially in the darker slash shadowed areas of the game. Another but more personal nitpick I have with this outfit is the tech component of Claire's tracking collar, that I wish had a smidge more size slash heft to it. I will say it's not without some bulk, but I think about the size of some of the tech in the 90s and things like the tracking collar from 2000's Battle Royale or the original and dark side version of the collar, and it just feels a smidge small in comparison. And a larger size would lead to a more noticeable weight on the prisoner's neck, constantly reminding them of their situation, which feels in line with Umbrella and saves them money from having to slim it down. I'll also say, think about it from an in-universe perspective, I think the tech component should have been done up in a silver or reflective metal that stands out from the rest of the color. While the trailer shows the color producing a red light, if that's obscured somehow, then the whole color blends together, and a guard would have to get closer to a prisoner to inspect it slash see if something's wrong. Plus, having the tech component be a reflective metal of a different color allows for the ability from a distance to give a quick look and see that each prisoner is wearing one, and along with the red light, if something is wrong or possibly missing from a collar. Before we finish up, a final thing I noticed, well, less about the outfit, but I still thought I'd bring it up here, is the change to Claire's starting weapon from a Beretta 93R in the original to what appears to be an M1911. Which, unlike in 2 Make, where Claire still obtains her original starting weapon just later on in the game, I think the change here makes more sense. For those of you who don't know, IRL the Brennan 93R was a machine pistol primarily used by the Italian armed forces and law enforcement, and was produced in limited quantities from the late 70s to the mid 90s. It also didn't see much use outside of Italy due to being restricted export because of its specialized select fire design and the regulatory hurdles for machine pistols. Now, why I'm saying this change to the starting weapon makes more sense is one, it saves resources, because Capcom has already scanned in models of the M1911 and a more modern variant for the second remake and Village, respectively. And in universe, it kind of makes more sense for entire island's guard staff to be equipped with a more mass produced weapon like the M1911 than a limited quantity machine pistol that would be not only a hassle to get, but was no longer being produced by the late 90s. At least that's my thinking. In the end, though, I think Claire's new costume is a really good design that works not only with her character or story, but also respects the era we're in. There's a ton of details here that not only use and pay respect to the original design, but also make it feel like it's an older style outfit from the late 90s. Unlike, as I briefly mentioned, with some of the outfits from the past remakes. That at times I feel like ignore parts of their story or the original outfit that they're supposed to be based off of or evolved from, or simply feel like they're from 2020 even though we're supposed to be in a past era. To me, it feels like the people doing the costumes for this game are cooking with gas for this remake, and I just hope they can maintain this momentum with the other characters as they come out. But only time will tell, and until next time folks, this is Fallout Rapture, signing out.